Hello, hello, good morning. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the TMI show, the Ted Manila Information Show. I am Manila Chan. Ted Rall will be joining us in just a moment. I'm giving him a potty break from he's fresh off of deprogram, and welcome to all the deprogrammers that have joined the raid. Hope you guys stick around. This is a little bit different of a show if you're new to us from deprogram. The tone and tenor is a little bit different. You know, what I bring it's a little bit different than John. John is a lot more steady, even keeled. I've got some more opinions. A little more colorful, we'll say. Love John. But of course, he will never entertain the tinfoil hat. Yours truly will. So I think the best new description I can come up with after a year of doing TMI with Ted is this is a morning variety show, or a mid-morning, midday variety news show. Because we do talk about news and we talk about a bunch of random topics. But a midday, mid-morning variety news show. So there's Ted now, fresh from his potty break from deprogram. Ted, I was just saying that I think the best description, now that we've been at TMI for a year, the best description I could come up with to explain to the deprogrammers that are joining is that this is kind of a mid-morning news variety show.
Well, but we need, if that's true, Manila, we're going to need like some dance ensemble numbers. I nominate Robbie once he's done with that job of his.
He could just like tape us some videos of him dancing.
Yeah,
I bet he could do shoe, the cane,
doing an Irish jig, perhaps.
That should be his new task. In lieu of not being able to be live with us anymore, he should take, like, when he takes his breaks at work, because, you know, now he's banished to the office, that when he takes like a 15-minute break.
Oh, I never shared the news. I heard the news today. Oh boy.
Is there new news?
Robbie West has just quit his job.
No.
Yes, he has.
Quit or fired?
Stopped and scared. No, he quit. He told them bye-bye. So
well, he
did everything right. He gave 2 weeks notice.
Yeah. Oh, so, okay. Wow. Whoa.
He's like, gone, daddy, gone, to quote the Violent Femmes.
Well, I have a feeling that because they didn't fire him, even after this
deservedly so,
even after this doxing and, you know, whatever campaign, this cancellation campaign
which was disgusting,
one of the YouTubers did to him, the fact that they didn't fire him tells me that I think they're going to try to find a way to keep him or bring him back.
Well, maybe, but you know, and I don't know if he's get backable. You know, the thing is, you know, a core characteristic about Robbie West is he
stubborn,
doesn't take well to being fucked with. You know?
No, I agree. So I don't know. I think there's room for negotiation there. And if Robbie, you're right, we know you're lurking in the background,
looming,
because we saw you
lurching.
We saw you in the Rumble room. Please let me help you with negotiations. I really am like
no. We have a whole plan here, Manila. Basically, we're trying to raise money through deprogram to basically get the money that to replace Robbie's income from donor money. So people who understand what an important role he plays both here on TMI as well as on deprogram, you know, can contribute. We need basically to raise $1,000 a month. It's not a big ask, really.
No, it's a Robbie fund
for Robbie aid.
Robbie aid,
which is also TMI aid and deprogram aid, because honestly, it's hard for us to do. The show isn't quite right without Robbie. Not to mention he fills in when one of us is out. He, he does a lot of the back end stuff, and he keeps the comments coming up on board. So he feeds them up to us so that your comments on the live chats are more likely to get replied to in real time, and all that. True. So there's a lot. It's hard to explain all the stuff that happens behind the scenes, but
he's like the Swiss Army knife of the shows.
It's very, very different without him. It's definitely not. It's not good.
Yeah, and
the quality of the show is not as good without him.
Yeah, it's good to have his ultra right wing view.
Robbie's right wing? What are you talking about? I thought he was a left communist.
Good to have him on there. Well, he's a populist, right? Like super right wing populist. So
that's true.
Okay, well, that news has got to break in our private chat. So so that's the breaking news there. So as you can see, we do this live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So please be sure to hit the like, the follow, the subscribe, and the share button. Please share our clips. That's how you make us more discoverable on the algorithms. And if Robbie were here, he could better explain that, because I am the last person you want to explain like tech stuff. You want tech stuff explained by, because for me, it's just like this magic box. And I click some things and things happen. That's as much as I know. It's like, for me, the keyboard is only there for using Word. Really, my computer is a glorified typewriter. Remember those Brother typewriters?
Oh, yeah, I had one of those.
I found a couple of them. I was really entertaining the idea of buying some for like $25 or $30. I found on what is it?
That's
Facebook
not
Marketplace.
A bad idea.
I thought about it, but I mean, they're so big and clunky. I don't know where to put it, but I feel like there's a part of me that is nostalgic, and I want to bang away on one of these like electric typewriters.
Well, I got to say, when it comes to banging, nothing beats old manual. And I have this beautiful 1946 travel typewriter that I'll show on the air.
My grandpa
you'll be very
had
jealous.
One
it's
of these
in
old school.
Perfect working order. Still even has the original instruction book and everything.
Yeah, but the problem is, how do you buy replacement parts? How do you buy like the ink ribbon?
Well, the ribbons, as it turns out, you can buy the ribbons. They're still made because people all over the world still use manual typewriters. So like in places like India, well, there's a lot of places where there's no electricity. So no computers. Huh. So if you're like in a police station in rural, Pakistan, you think you fucking use a computer? You don't have a computer. So, so they still make the ribbons. You can buy them on eBay for nothing. They're like a couple bucks each. Yeah. There's a lot of weird retro technology like that.
Well, a part of me is feeling kind of nostalgic, and I was like, maybe I'm tempted to go buy one of these from somebody's like online yard sale, but I was worried about the ribbon thing. But now maybe I might for $25. Why not?
Your biggest problem is repairs. If it breaks and you fuck it up, then it's really hard to find like the old dude who still knows how to fucking repair them.
Yeah.
Like there is the last typewriter.
I need to go buy like 4. I just need to buy 4 of these like old school typewriters. So if one breaks, I try to have more still.
By the way, Robbie just posted his resignation letter in our personal chat. So you can read that on your
real.
on your own. We're not going to don't put it up because his address and other personal shit are in
No.
Of course
it's like
he'll be redoxed.
Yes, exactly. Oh
no
boy.
one needs that.
Well, if anything, Ted, we should really promote an opposite docs where people should contact his soon-to-be previous employer and say how fucked up it is that the way that they treated him.
Ooh, that's a great fucking idea.
So anti-docs instead, and say in support of Robbie, and say you guys should give him his privileges back because he was your top performer, even as he juggled 2 streaming shows. And he was still your top performer.
I would argue that like it shows that the model of like, you know what it is, like when you work at a 9 to 5 job, you worked in offices. I worked in offices. Yeah. Most office jobs, almost all, you're not really working or expected to work from 9 to 5. You come in at 9 o'clock. Okay, it's coffee time. Well, first there's chit chat with your colleagues, then it's coffee time.
Yeah, but then you're having the coffee.
You're not really
and then
at
the
your
coffee
desk
hits.
you're not really at your desk till 9:20.
Ted, then the coffee hits, and then you're in the
coffee
toilet.
makes you poo, so you got to go poo. You're not really working until like 10:30. Then there's probably like a meeting, and then like noon rolls around. You haven't done anything.
No, you get the meeting, and then people are like want to chit chat about the meeting, and they step outside for a cigarette break. Even the people that aren't smoking, they'll go outside, vape. I guess nowadays people are vape breaking.
Yep, they sure are.
And then you go back to your desk, and then you're doing whatever, answer a couple emails. Then before you know it, it's like 12:15. It's time for lunch.
Yeah, that's
you come back at 1:00. Like really, the 9 to 5 thing, you're only getting maybe at best 4.5 hours.
Yeah. So the truth is,
of actual labor.
The reason that you're not there to work. You're there to be available for people who, if
Correct.
they need you, right? So basically, the model is inherently flawed. What they should do is just recognize, like, look, we'll pay you. We have this amount of work to get done, and as long as you get it done, we don't care if you're like Jeffrey Tubing jerking off, in the middle of the day.
Well, I would care about that. I would not
want
give
my
a
shit as long as no one sees you.
Oh gosh,
like whatever.
Jeffrey Tubing.
Like,
during the meeting,
you tube in your tube. It's fine, but like it's true. I had a boss like that when I worked at the admissions office at Columbia. Literally, she was like, "We pay shit." She said that, like, we pay for shit. It's like, but you do whatever the fuck you want. Like, you have a meeting with an editor. You just go downtown.
I was like that.
And then it's like just make sure that the catalogs are mailed out upon request. Just make sure all the applications are processed. That's it. And I always made sure. We turned all our applications around in record time. Everyone was very pleased, and I made it my priority. But I was drawing cartoons at work. I was making. Yeah. I was
when I ran the magazine in Dubai. Granted, I was only 29 years old when I was made editor. So and in my case, it was kind of almost like a Barry Weiss, but a very poor version of Barry Weissing it, where things just kind of fell in my lap because I just happened to be there. And a native English speaker.
Don't compare yourself to Barry Weiss. There's nothing you have done or could ever do that would make you as bad of a human being as she is.
Well, okay. Well, thank you. But
by the way, she steps up now that Dick Cheney's gone. She steps up into like worst person in America place.
Well, so when granted, I was 29. I'd never been a boss before, and here I wasn't even like a deputy editor. I just got elevated to full on editor and like chief executive of like everything of this magazine, of this whole GCC, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know anything about distribution, and like I now I need to go talk to the printers, and we're on A4 paper, and okay, we're on perfect bind. Like, what else do I need to learn? Ultimately, because I had to learn 50 different things, right? When you're like managing editor, the editor-in-chief, and you're still writing your own stuff. I had 50,000 things to worry about, and learning how to manage an office, a staff. I didn't have time to nitpick over, why are you late? Why you're taking too many cigarette breaks? Like, I didn't give a fuck. So I didn't care if the photogs, as long as the photogs were here, for the photo shoots I needed, the models were here on time, products were sent to me on time. I didn't care if my writers, they were like, oh, can we come in? Can I come in at a such and such time? I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Your deadline is on whatever date. We go to press on this date for the dummy copy. I need it at least 36 hours ahead. I don't give a shit what you do. Take your lunch for 2 hours. Take a siesta. Don't care. Just get me the copy. Just meet your deadlines. That's it. And that was the rule for everybody, because I had 50,000 things to learn on the spot. I did not care. However you get there, however you achieve the end result, that's all I cared about. Just get there. I don't care. And everybody was ultimately happier when I gave them so much leash. My previous, God rest his soul, my Philip Moore, my old editor-in-chief, he's an old school guy. Dude was kidnapped by the Khmer Rouge,
Cool.
Partied with David Bowie. He was an old bogan Aussie. Like he was like rock star guy, like one of those old school rock star journalists. Like, you know what I'm talking about? And
oh yeah, I know. Of course.
Old grizzled old journalist, bogan Aussie that was just foul mouthed and just as redneck Aussie as they come. With a typewriter is what I used to call him, Crocodile Dundee with a typewriter. But for whatever reason, because he's old school, he ran the magazine old school. Like everybody had to be there at a certain time. Everybody, didn't matter what your job was. You're there at a specific time and you're out at a specific time. And you couldn't be out if certain things weren't met. So now you're there all day. And he ran it old school. And people were miserable. He shouted at everyone, including me, until I, gained his respect when I threw shit back at him and told him to fuck off, and I quit and I cleared his desk for him, and I stormed out and lit up a cigarette in the hallway.
Hey, you were proto-Robbieing it.
And I earned his respect that way. I actually, by telling him to fuck off and light up a cigarette practically in his face and blow smoke, and I said I quit. I gained his respect, and apparently, the rest of the newsroom. And when he got fired, I ascended to editor in chief, and out of nowhere, I guess that made a statement. And anyway, everybody was happier because I was some 29-year-old rookie editor, didn't know how to manage, so I didn't really manage. And everybody ended up happier. Everything, production got better, distribution got better. The clients were happier, like advertisers, meaning everybody was happier. Because as it turns out, Ted, people like when you treat them like adults.
Yeah,
they can manage their own time.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, some people fail to rise to the occasion, and those people you say bye-bye. But most people tend to rise to your highest level of trust, I've always found.
Yeah. I gave them a certain expectation. I said, I just need the deliverables. Get there. I was 29. Most of the people were older than me by a lot. So
all the more reason they probably appreciated that approach, right? Because it's like, oh, I've been doing this for a long time, and at least, this younger woman's going to let me do my thing and respects me enough to let me do my thing.
Yeah. Well, one of my writers was he was like in his mid 60s. Like, what the fuck am I going to tell, this writer that's been doing this longer than I'd been alive? What am I going to tell this journal? Like, what am I going to tell him? So anyway, this is the same. This should be applied to Robbie. So I feel like if anything, if there's a campaign to be had, is we should email docs the Robbie's boss and campaign for him to say, if you should get this guy back, but you need to give him back his freedom because he was your best employee.
Let him work for us. I don't know. I think it's better that he just. I think it's better that he just work on his own, work for us. Obviously, it's going to be like he's going to be happier. It's going to be better use of his time. He'll be happier. I mean, like you and I, Manila, maybe me more than you, I'm not sure. I think Robbie's the kind of person who is going to be happier not having a boss.
Oh, for sure. I'm the only time I'm happy having a boss is when they kind of let me spread my wings. Otherwise,
and that's rare because they're all a bunch of control freaks, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just
they can't help themselves.
It comes with the territory. Yeah, people that aspire the same way that the people that aspire to be politicians, Ted, or the people that aspire to be management,
should not be permitted to be.
That's right. The people that like their dream,
police officers or corrections officers.
Those are the types of priests. People you don't want to have that kind of power.
Those jobs should all be drafted.
Right. Like someone like me that I happen to be sitting there, and the publisher of the magazine had a big falling out with Phil, and he looked around the room, and I think just to throw it in Phil's face was like, tap, tap. Manila here is the new editor in chief. And I'm, what? Taking my, what? Like, what just happened? And he goes in, slams the door, and I'm like, What?
I know. We got to do some news.
Well, that's
21 minutes into the
be in
show.
charge.
Have not done any show.
No.
Right.
Well, you also just did a bunch of Dick Cheney with John. Although I think we're gonna have different takes here.
By the way, in honor of Dick Cheney, I don't know if people remember my portrayal of Generalissimo El Busho, my classic.
No.
But anyway, I came across my old swag, my Generalissimo El Busho mug. That's how I depicted Bush.
That's how you depicted Bush?
That's how I depicted Bush, as a deranged Latin American dictator. And then this was it.
Generalissimo.
One nation,
one leader. Oh, well, he wasn't really the leader. Anyway, okay. So let's get to the news. But anyway, I still would campaign for a save Robbie if there's a way. But
well, I think there is. For sure there is.
All right, we'll discuss it in the group chat once I see the stuff. But okay, you're reading the formalities of old Dick here. And I hate to admit it, Ted. I hate to admit this because it's out of character for me to chuckle when anybody dies. But I was at 6:30 in the morning. I'm reading the news on my phone.
Were you like Nelson from The Simpsons?
And it came tumbling out of my mouth, like audibly tumbled out of my mouth. I was reading other news on my phone, and the banner splashes across my phone like boom, 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 one after the next, right? And it's like, oh, Dick Cheney dead at 84. And I literally went, and I caught myself laughing, and I went, oh, don't do that. That's evil. Like
it's a little evil.
It's evil, but that was my natural.
But he didn't care about other people.
I know, but but that made me as bad. But that made me as bad as him to chuckle.
No, that's not true. Because you didn't kill. If you were as bad as him, you would have killed over 1 million Iraqis. You're not as bad as him. You literally just, you killed nobody. You laughed at him dying. That's not the same thing. And that's I feel like in poor taste. But anyway, shame on me. Totally poor taste. You know what else is in poor taste? Killing over 1 million Iraqis.
I know. It's not something
That's a very poor
I am
taste.
proud of. So, all right, let's do it.
Complications with pneumonia and cardiovascular disease have killed off former Vice President Dick Cheney. He's dead at age 84. The Cheney family said that he was surrounded by family at the time of his death, presumably to avoid his zombie corpse from laying waste to the land. He served as Veep under George W. Bush for both terms. Well, more accurately, George W. Bush served under Cheney for both terms.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Cheney was a powerful Republican lawmaker who was, let's see, there's a lot of repetition in this article. Anyway, I'm going to skip the BS shit that they said about him.
Blame NBC.
All right. Cheney is survived by.
But you should say it. You should say what. God. Here's the thing. You should
want to vomit into my own mouth, Manila.
I know, but here's the thing.
Okay.
We
right.
know.
Here we go.
People are trying to rewrite fucking history about
Cheney
who this man is.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So Cheney. Okay. Anyway. For decades, Dick Cheney served our nation, including as White House Chief of Staff, Wyoming's Congressman, Secretary of Defense, and Vice President of the United States. The Cheney family said in a statement, Dick Cheney was a great and good man who taught his children and grandchildren to love our country and to live lives of courage. What? When did he ever show courage? Honor. I don't know. Where did the four DUIs come into play there? Love. Yeah, he was so loving. Kindness and fly fishing. Those things all go together. We are grateful beyond measure, and shooting your friend in the face. We are grateful beyond measure for all Dick Cheney did for our country, and we're blessed beyond measure to have loved and been loved by this noble giant of a man. Oh,
the family.
Manila,
this is the family's
Hitler had
message,
never been overturned, had never been defeated, and had died of old age, we'd be reading that shit about him. He loved his dog. Cheney is survived by his high school sweetheart and wife of 61 years old, Lynn, 61 years. They shared 2 daughters, Liz and Mary, and 3 grandchildren, kids. Richard Bruce Cheney was born in Lincoln, Nebraska on January 30th, 1941, grew up in Casper, Wyoming, got his bachelor's and master's from the University of Wyoming. His career in public service began in 1969 when he joined the Nixon administration, serving as on the Cost of Living Council, the Office of Economic Opportunity, and in the White House. After he left government briefly in 1973, he returned to serve on Gerald Ford's transition team, who, of course, took over after Nixon resigned. Cheney worked as deputy White House chief of staff in the Ford administration. Before becoming the chief of staff, he also managed Ford's unsuccessful 1976 re-election campaign. Cheney was elected 6 times to serve as sole congressman from Wyoming in the U.S. House of Representatives. He was also elected to serve as chair of the Republican Policy Committee, chair of the House Republican Conference, and minority whip of the House in 1988. In the House, he took right-wing positions on abortion, gun control, and the environment. In 1978, he suffered the first of several mild heart attacks. He underwent quadruple bypass in 1988. Back then, that was really, really serious. During George H.W. Bush's White House term, Cheney served as Secretary of Defense, directing the war against Panama, as well as Desert Storm against Iraq. For his leadership in the Gulf War, he got the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Bush Sr. in 1991. After Bush lost his re-election bid in 1992, he went to the American Enterprise Institute, where he became chairman and CEO of Halliburton, which, of course, he continued to own shares in after Halliburton profiteered from
he became super rich.
Bush's wars. Then when Bush II became the Republican nominee in 2000, he was appointed to head the Vice Presidential Search Committee, but then he appointed himself.
Hey, Ted, I found somebody. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I've looked everywhere. I've scoured the earth, and here I am.
And I found me.
I found me. I'm awesome. The pair barely won. I would say, well, they didn't really win. The U.S. Supreme Court appointed George W. Bush to be president on December 20th, 2000. 2 days after Election Day, Cheney suffered another mild heart attack. As VP, he shaped the energy and foreign policy in the Middle East, including quietly coordinating, my ass.
Right.
He could have stood to have been a lot quieter in conducting the forever wars, the global war on terror after 9/11, which, of course, led to the invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq, 2 countries that had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11, widely considered the most powerful vice president in U.S. history. His political career came to an end after Bush, but by that time, his approval rating had dropped to 13%, basically up there with herpes. But he remained in the public eye, often speaking on political matters, and his political life ended when he voted and endorsed Kamala Harris. So always making a bad decision, really, throughout his entire life.
Look what happened to look at this is young Dickie there at Yale, I think, or whatever. What happened? He seemed like
he looked like a
normal
douche. Look at
you
that
think
hair.
so?
Yeah,
he looked like one of those rowers.
That man's a douche. He looks smart.
You
smart
think?
Enough.
I think he looks like a
super
jock.
Smart. Yeah, he does. That's the douche part. Jocks and douches. There's a lot of overlap there.
He looks jockey. I don't know if he's maybe sharp, shrewd. Like it's in the eyes. There's a lot of cunning in the eyes.
Yeah, like animal cunning.
You can see that. Yeah. Like he's gonna leap out of a tree at you or something.
Yeah, when you go to the watering hole, you're in deep shit. Yeah.
This is it. Like there's a lot of cunning in that face. Like I will say, there was one thing that pleasantly surprised me about Dick Cheney as a human, and it was the human side of him.
He is a human?
Well, later he became a cyborg, and I'll get into that.
That's true.
But the human side of him, the father side of him, I do find it a little bit endearing that he stood by and chose to continue supporting his gay daughter, the younger sister of Liz, who has 2 children of her own, and she's a lesbian. She's in a lesbian marriage, and given his otherwise ultra right-wing neocon positions, he did have that about him. So I didn't know
Manila, I've got it.
that he could love
I've got to
anything.
really call you out on that. I mean,
I didn't know that he could love anything. Liz had a falling out with the sister because of the sister's gayness. Like that's really shitty of Liz Cheney.
Yeah, Liz was like, oh, don't be gash mashing, don't be rug munching, no carpet bagging. And
really shitty of Liz.
Well, because Liz is a horrible, vile person. Dick also is a horrible, vile. Look, he only came around to being okay with his dykey daughter after years of like trying to convince her to not go that direction, right? So I don't have any respect whatsoever for him. I mean, he didn't, he came around. I guess that's better late than never, but he's not a good person. I mean, it's not like he was like a private liberal. Not to mention,
no, I'm not saying he was a good person by any stretch. I'm saying there's the one redeeming quality about him that if we are all, like made in his image,
he couldn't even admit that he was wrong to shoot his friend in the face.
No, that's so fucking.
He didn't. I mean, look, anything can happen. Like it's one hell of an accident. Okay, but he should have at least been like, I was fucking mortified. I can't believe I did that. No, like I'm really.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I shot my buddy in the face. Right. I don't know any other redeeming quality, and maybe, who knows, Ted, maybe I really do, Ted, just as a human, I always try to look for the best parts of any person, because surely there must be like,
would you do that with, would you do that with Hitler?
Hitler was an animal lover. He was a vegetarian.
True.
So he was really the first, animal rights activist.
That's true.
I can give him that.
That's true. He was. Yeah.
So I'll give him that. Like, I mean,
I don't know if he was the first animal rights activist, but he was certainly the first political leader to impose sweeping laws protecting the rights of animals in Germany.
Yeah. So the first big political figure to stand up for, animal rights. So that was kind of interesting. So I try to at least find one good quality about every person to just remind myself of everybody's humanity. But damn, if I wasn't annoyed with myself for chuckling when the banner came across my screen. I mean, God, it's so vile. He
was such a fucking horrible person. I mean, he
lied to America, bald-faced, over and over
literally,
and over.
Yeah. I mean, look, in 1998, he co-signed a letter issued by the neocon William Crystal Project for a New American Century, calling for the overthrow of Iraq. The theory was, if the U.S. invaded Iraq, that it would precipitate the spread of democracy throughout the Middle East, right? We saw how that worked out. He becomes vice president in 2001. On 9/11, within hours, while the World Trade Centers are still burning, he's in the White House corridors telling people we're going to invade Iraq. And other staffers are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Iraq had nothing to do with this. Iraq hated Al-Qaeda. They had members of Al-Qaeda in prison. Al-Qaeda wanted to overthrow the government of Iraq under Saddam Hussein. So it was like, oh, well, they're working together. No. They're ferocious enemies. So it's like, well, basically he just wanted to invade Iraq. He just had a hard on. He had this had a theoretical desire to overthrow, to start a war against Iraq. That's what a bad man he was. He wanted to have a war over some cockamamie political theory that made no sense whatsoever at all. And he was willing to tell the American people a line of bullshit about WMDs that not only wasn't true, but could not be true. And in the end, well over 1 million Iraqis and many thousands of U.S. troops were killed. Tens of thousands of U.S. troops came back fucked up beyond belief, minus legs, traumatized,
of course.
psychologically and physically. And not to mention, it destroyed America's international reputation once and for all. No one in the rest of the world will ever view us as a good country ever again now. So fuck Dick Cheney up the ass.
I mean, maybe there will be a South Park episode about that, because presently South Park is running with Satan being in bed with Donald Trump. Maybe in the forthcoming episode with Dick Cheney's death, they'll skewer that and maybe give Satan a new bed buddy in Cheney being banished to the depths of hell. And I just want to point out, look at this old picture. This is from, I'm only picking C-SPAN footage because then we can't get in trouble from the YouTube censors. So this is C-SPAN, American History TV. I didn't even know they had a show. I didn't know. I thought C-SPAN. C-SPAN was just like
he looks a little bit like a young Paul Newman there, doesn't he?
He looks kind of handsome here. But I want to point out Lynn's look at her new. She's newly betrothed here, right? Like,
I'm just gonna say it. Lynn is a battle axe now, but she kind of had a cute slutty look then.
I was gonna say, look how lusty she looks.
She looks like
here.
a tramp. It's kind of awesome.
Doesn't she look kind of lusty? Like she's
she looks
like ready to like go down on him in this.
I was just gonna say she looks like she's about to become a cock goblin.
Like this particular image.
She's got fuck me lips there.
The whole look on her face, she's like, I'm a newlywed, like I just can't, like, give me some.
I'm gonna slurp all that shit. I'm riding that all night long. Good for her. Good for her.
Like, but she's looking at her new husband with such lust,
which is great. I love to see that.
But she's also very right-wingy, and she was like a Christian conservative commentator, neocon. Horrible. Yeah. She's a terrible, like they are like two peas in a pod for sure. Like they're probably
monsters in a monster pod.
I know. So she's looking at him with this kind of lust. And I agree. If we didn't know that these were the Cheneys, I agree. It is adorable to see a young bride look at her groom.
Great. It's great.
So lustingly, but knowing that she's looking at Dick Cheney and how all the hate filled in his heart. And she's like, I can't wait to get some of that.
Well, I mean, we don't know what he was like at the time.
Kind of lady are you?
Like, he's also one of those fucking chicken hawks, right? Like, he's always willing to send other people. He's in favor of wars, but he doesn't want to fight in them himself. He wants to send other people's kids to fight and die in his stupid
Which is
wars.
why I'm like, why is Lynn all lusty over that? Knowing, like, presumably she knew this is his philosophy, and she's like, oh, he's like, he dropped out of an Ivy League to come back to Wyoming.
It's a different dynamic than Laura Bush, right? Who is a pot-smoking liberal librarian.
Was she?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course there's that crazy story with her boyfriend. You know that story.
No, Laura. I don't know anything about Laura Bush.
What the fuck? Oh my God.
No, nothing.
So they lived in Laura lived like George W. in tiny Midland, Texas, in the middle of nowhere, where and basically at one of those, she was driving her car. I think she was about 20 years old or 21, and one of those intersections where there's literally just two stop signs. And there's four cornfields, the corners of four cornfields, all abutting at the intersection. And that's just all there is. You've been there, places like that. Anyway, she blew through a stop sign, T-boned a car going the opposite direction. And when she got out, she discovered that it was her boyfriend driving the other car, and she had killed him.
No.
Isn't that crazy?
This is really Laura Bush's.
And she's a Democrat. Laura Bush is a Democrat.
Oh, I never knew that. Well, that's not the case for Lynn Cheney. Lynn and Dickie were always two monsters in a pod, and I guess they found that really hot and sexy. Like, ooh. And I mean, in that sense, God bless. Good on them. They were together 61 whole years, and I would believe it if somebody told me they were both completely faithful to one another. I believe it. I mean,
Oh,
if
yeah.
this
Sure.
picture
Who else would have them?
oh, just
I mean, how much would you have to pay to have sex with Dick Cheney? Be paid.
oh God.
I would have to be paid a lot to have
indecent
sex
proposal
with Lynn.
With Lynn?
Yeah.
Well, the wife was
Or
probably
Liz.
a cutie. I mean, look, here's young Dickie. Well, I guess he's now Dick, but here's 34. He's only 34 in this picture when he became the youngest chief of staff ever at 34 years old for Gerald Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be hard to know exactly. Like I tried to look into this before because I have this interest with Gerald Ford and how he kind of reshaped the American family. And that's for another show, maybe another day. But
what did he do to reshape
legal stuff. I have a whole 30-minute special that you can watch called Forgotten Fathers, that you can watch about how Gerald Ford, by way of pushing Congress, because remember he was in Congress for a long time and he was the Speaker of the House, and he's the only unelected president we've ever had.
What do you mean he's the only? That's not true. The only unelected president.
Unelected?
Oh, I guess that's true. That is true.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
You mean like not elected vice president either? Yeah.
Right. He was completely unelected. He just kept ascending.
Yeah,
he just kept ascending.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So it's no wonder to me that Dick Cheney was chosen as his chief of staff at 34 years old. And this is what he looked like at 34 years old. I guess people just looked older, I guess, in the 70s.
Yeah, because they all smoked and shit.
So, because he looks really grizzled.
Other people around them smoked, and it made everybody look older.
You think that's what it is?
I don't know. I can't believe people ever smoked. I mean, like, what a horrible fucking thing. It should have never been legal. I'm still mad about it.
I still imagine and I fantasize about it. It's really bad for you, but I'll always forever fantasize about smoking again.
I'm so glad that I lived long enough to see smoking come to an end.
I think it's great that it did.
It was literally just torture. I mean, I'm asthmatic.
Look, I know. So this guy, young Cheney, right? I'm curious to know all the misdeeds and horrible ways in which he influenced the one unelected American president.
Well, he probably
because in those days
couldn't have done much because
you don't think
he
so?
Probably pushed him to the right. Gerald Ford was
in those days. We don't have records of everything.
He was incredibly well, what do you mean? There were White House tapes.
Sure, some, but I mean, a lot of stuff could be done off the books, and reporters, most of which are dead at this point, right? Unless you're like Woodward and Bernstein, who
there's histories of there's a very famous history of the Ford administration, where it basically gets into how all the Bushies, they all met, like Paul Wolfowitz. They all met in the Bush during the Ford years. But
because he was the chief of staff, he was the architect in Washington D.C. when he was just 34 years old. Right.
But the thing is, the point I was trying to make was that he didn't have much. Gerald Ford's administration was wildly ineffectual, and because he, in 1974. After Watergate and Nixon's resignation, there was a huge Democratic sweep in Congress. So the Congress and the Senate became overwhelmingly Democratic. So the president couldn't work with Congress at all. Like nothing got done. Yeah. So he vetoed everything that came out of Congress, and they didn't pass anything that he proposed. So. Basically, it wouldn't kind of matter even if Dick Cheney had a huge influence on Ford, because no real policies came out of that administration. That's
right. And to Adrian's point, Jerry Ford was an empty suit, blank canvas. Absolutely, I agree. He, I think, was the first to kind of sell out the office of the presidency in a big way. To special interest. Anyway, that's a whole different show, but I would say it's because of young Dick Cheney was whispering in the ears of all of these powerful men, and Dick was never at the front of the ticket himself, which always baffled me. Like, I guess when you're Dick Cheney and you don't have to take the heat, you can use a human shield in the shape of like George W. Bush. You can just use a human shield, right? And you're more powerful, more destructive that way.
Or more powerful. I mean, he didn't view people like that never view themselves as destructive. I mean, he look. I have to say, I can empathize with that. I would rather be a powerful person behind the scenes than the face of an administration or an organization, because then everybody's pissed off at you and picking on you. You just want like someone else to take that, be the heat shield, and you are just pulling the strings behind the scenes like a Svengali.
No, I agree. If you can pull a human shield in front of you, some dummy like a W, put him in front of you.
I don't need fame.
Why not? Yeah, I don't care for any of that. But gosh, you really think Dick Cheney was genuine about all of these beliefs? You don't think it was just driven by money?
Oh, well, I mean, he certainly was motivated by money and greed. But I think, I don't know. I mean, I think, look, he did come out of how there's formative crisis experiences that affect people. Like Vladimir Putin was a young KGB officer stationed in Berlin at the time of the fall of the wall. Mm-hmm. And when he called, at one point, he was at this little like off-site building that belonged to the Soviet Union in Berlin, and there were riots going on, and he didn't know what to do. So he called Moscow for orders, and nobody knew what to tell him. And he was chilled to the bone by the idea that things were in such disorder that like he couldn't get marching orders, right? Well, and he resolved like, oh, law and order is really important. You have to have a strong chain of command, and that's defined his personality. Like Putin really cares about things being ordered, and like with Dick Cheney, his experience was watching the Nixon administration crumble. And he was convinced that was due to insufficient executive power, that the presidency needed to be more powerful than the other two branches of government. And he resolved to make it his business, his entire political career, to increase the power of the executive branch. LBJ, his founding thing was he was in charge of rural electrification in Texas. And as a young man, and he saw that the towns that had a predominantly black population got served after those with a white population. He was like, and he was like, racism is the biggest problem in America, he determined, and he made it his business to, whenever possible, to do something about systemic racism. So I think for a lot of politicians, there's sort of these founding things. I guess the point is, I do believe that he believed this stuff. But after a certain point, it also becomes reflexive for people. They don't question themselves. They're not surrounded by anyone who questions them. They wouldn't entertain having anyone who's not a yes man around them. At a certain point, you're a right-wing conservative because you're a right-wing conservative, not because you genuinely are questioning, like, well, is this really the right way to go? I mean, the same thing's true about a lot of liberals, too. I don't think AOC ever questions herself like, oh, I wonder if the Republicans are right. Like, probably not. At a certain point, you get up and you make, it's time to make the donuts, right? That's what everybody does every day.
Yeah. And on that note, we have to pause for a word from our sponsor, Ted. I'm going to go ahead and click the button for that because,
Read it. Let's have it.
When we're talking about old folks, Ted, this is on the other end, because, Dick Cheney was alive artificially, right, as a cyborg the last 20 years.
Right.
Because we know it's facts, Ted. So this one, on the other hand, check this out. All right, this is a new sponsor. All right, here we go.
Rock and roll.
Oh, actually, I hope I do this right. Okay, it says, hey, you, there's this video. It's from Chuck Norris. Yeah, it was insane. He's in his 80s, and says he still feels like he's in his 50s. It was pretty shocking. He had some pretty cool tips in there too on what he's doing, including these 3 foods that he avoids like the plague. He explained all the things he was doing, and it was super simple. They're easy, and you can do them right at home. When I first saw the ad, I knew I had to share this with you all, since what happened to Chuck could also happen for you too. With any new method, of course, your results can vary, but the video is definitely worth checking out. Watch his method now by clicking on the link in the chat or scanning the QR code on your screen. You won't believe how simple this is. All right, so with that, Ted, because, Chuck Norris is also in his 80s, but I think not artificially alive. I don't think he's had like 10 heart attacks like Dick Cheney.
Yeah, and a fake heart.
And yeah, oh my God, that's right. Is it a fake one, or I thought it was a donor heart?
Well, I think he has a donor heart, and didn't he have a pacemaker too?
Yeah, he had a pace.
He had no heartbeat. So I don't know how they can tell he was dead.
So weird. I don't know. I'm telling you, he's a cyborg, artificially alive, and maybe Lynn or somebody just decided to like boop, press the button on his pacemaker.
It's time. Deactivate.
Dickie, it's
husband
time.
bot.
Dickie, it's time. And speaking of other old people, old Nancy Pelosi, a year older than Dick. She's turning 85 if she's not already. But she's 85, he's 84. She's supposedly stepping down, retiring. I don't know. Do you think she's actually going to do it, Ted?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, she's like 1,000, but I wonder what's is it just her age, or I don't know, who's the heir apparent? Is she going to stick around long enough for midterms, or will she fuck up the midterms by sticking around?
I think she'd fuck them up.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We don't have a date yet, but supposedly she's ready to step down.
I mean, she's old as shit, so.
Yeah, she's 85. Yeah, but her buddy Dianne Feinstein hung in there, literally, like clinging to
great.
her seat.
She went out with her dignity intact.
Yeah,
looking good.
Right. Well, we'll breeze through this one real quick. I don't have a whole lot of comments on this because I think we've said all of our Biden jokes, but in case people have missed it, on the Autopen. So the U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Oversight and Government Reform recently released a 100-page report titled "The Biden Autopen Presidency: Decline, Delusion, and Deception in the White House." That is a good title, Ted. I actually
good deed. A lot of alliteration.
Yeah, I like it. Mm-hmm. In the lengthy document, the committee cast doubt on the legitimacy of every single one of President Biden's executive orders signed by Autopen. In fact, the report declares these Autopen signatures null and void. Committee Chairman James Comer said in a press release, quote, "The Biden Autopen presidency will go down as one of the biggest political scandals in U.S. history." Of course, a congressional report is not legally binding on its own. Only a court order, valid new executive order, or new legislation can void presidential actions. But critics fear the committee's recommendation to AG Pam Bondi to review all Biden-era rulings signed by Autopen could open the door to legal challenges. The Autopen is a machine with a small robotic arm that replicates signatures. It was first patented in 1803 and has been used by U.S. politicians and presidents for decades. President Obama also signed. Wow. Yeah, President Obama also signed legislation with Autopen, and the Department of Justice Office of Legal Counsel concluded the use of the Autopen to be constitutional during the George W. Bush administration. With a plethora of executive orders and other actions signed by Autopen from President Biden, that could put much of his legacy, at risk. Plus, everyday Americans could face the fallout of the rules getting rolled back. And so just a point of note, an executive order I want to underscore this. So this is a report, right? So kind of like a recommendation, kind of like a nudge to Pam Bondi, like, hey, like, hey, girl, you should kind of check this out. That can open a can of worms. Some of Biden's executive orders, like, regarding like the CFPB and things that like consumer protections, there are a couple of good things that were signed by Autopen. I was going to say by President Biden, but it's not technically President Biden. Okay. So technically
be clear here about the Autopen, it's important to understand that like many presidents have signed many things by Autopen.
Sure.
What's important here is that
autographs
they have well, not just that, even bills, but and executive orders. And it's legitimate if it can be shown or evidenced that the president was aware of it. So for example, it's like President Manila Chan is upstairs taking a big dump. And but unfortunately, an executive order has to be issued right away. So you call Chief of Staff Ted Rall and you say, hey, Teddy, put through that Autopen on that executive order, blowing up ships in Venezuela. And I'm like, yes, Madam President. And I go and Autopen it. That's totally legit. I think it's weird as shit. I think you should have to sign it. But that's just how the system has worked.
Well, especially if we know that Biden was...
But the issue here is that apparently there's solid evidence that Biden had no idea about these things. These are the staff just basically using the royal seal and just stamping it on everything willy-nilly.
Well, that's really
the issue here.
The Biden people are already pushing back and saying, no, there's witnesses to say that President Biden approved the use of Autopen for each of these executive orders.
Well, if that's true, then, there's no issue. I call bullshit on that. I don't think that's true.
Right.
But
do you want to have them testify before the House committee then?
Yeah, under oath. Yeah.
Under oath at risk of perjury and jail time, the way the Democrats, jailed, let's say, Steve Bannon, right? Are you guys willing to do that? Look, because I don't buy it. I really don't buy that President Biden, for the hundreds of executive orders that were issued, that he personally was aware of and authorized the slew of them. I don't buy that.
I don't think so.
Yeah. But for the record, an executive order can be overturned by the next president, revoking it, Congress invalidating it with new legislation, or going through the court system and having the courts deeming whatever that EA or EO rather, that EO is unconstitutional, or if they say that is beyond the scope of the president's authority. So a court can flip it. A president can use a new executive order to rescind the predecessor's order, or Congress can pass a law to counteract that thing, though a presidential veto would need weird, because if it wasn't legitimate
it wasn't legitimate in the first place, then how can you rescind something that was never a law?
Right. So I don't know. It's kind of perplexing to me. But anyway, it says, additionally, courts can strike down an order if it exceeds the president's constitutional power. So you can go through
all that
legal system. But yeah, this is kind of convoluted answer, but supposedly that's the law. But so yeah,
this is a fancy way of saying that the system doesn't really have a nullification, a self-nullification mechanism to say, like, if something wasn't done right, it's not valid. At the end of World War II, when Charles de Gaulle became the provisional president of France following the German occupation, his first order of business, he signed a law saying every law and regulation enacted under the Vichy puppet regime from 1940 to 1944 is officially invalidated. So you could do that kind of thing where you just say anything that was not, Trump could sign a law saying everything that there's no evidence that the president knew about is not really that was signed by Autopen is null and void.
Right. Which is
But it
why
would have to
Trump,
pass
when
through
he rolled
Congress.
in, which is why when Trump rolled into office and they put out, before he started demolition of the Rose Garden, they put out like new pictures of, I don't know, all the previous POTUSes, right? And for Biden's picture, bow tie? I don't know.
POTI. One POTUS, two POTI.
Yes, POTI, sorry. All the POTI. The list, just if you walk through the Rose Garden, and then finally, before you get to Trump's newest portrait, you get a picture of Autopen for Biden. He trolled him with an Autopen portrait. Is that shitty?
I don't understand really why. I mean, that's all Trump does is troll.
I know.
It's the lowest form of humor, really. And like it's like
I just can't believe that's
like it's kind of like one of those, to me that's one of, it's hard to believe sometimes that he doesn't drink, because that strikes me as the kind of idea I will have over drinks, and the next morning I'm like, yeah, that was really stupid, I'm not doing that.
Like, at least you have like, oh man, I was drunk when I did that, I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, you've had those ideas like, this is such a great idea, and you write it down, and the next morning you're like, god damn, no, it's really stupid, I'm not gonna tell anyone about that.
Like, he literally had, like, you have all these pictures of like Taft, Polk, Kennedy, and then you keep walking to the future and it's like Obama, Autopen, and then Trump.
I mean, hell, at that rate, he should, if he was going to roll that way, he should have had Woodrow Wilson's wife there.
Oh. Well,
because she signed everything. She forged his signature on bills.
I read that. Yeah, she was Jill before Jill.
Yeah, she was. She was proto Jill.
Pre Jill. Yeah. All right. Last bit of news we'll get to regarding SNAP funding. I know people are asking questions about this internationally. Nerd says he loves the trolling.
All right. Thank you, Nerd.
It's the only thing I have left from this administration. Yeah. Fair. Yeah. There's nothing else left to enjoy from this administration. So the trolling, like, it has
what
to
else
be,
is there? We have to enjoy what we have.
Just enjoy the trolling. I guess that's a good point. Thank you, Nerd. So in terms of SNAP, okay, so the writing hasn't happened yet. The looting hasn't happened yet. The Trump administration said yesterday it will partially fund the SNAP program, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, this month amid the federal government shutdown, which is now the second longest shutdown in U.S. history. The update comes after funding for the program, colloquially known as food stamps, just lapsed over the weekend when we entered November. The Department of Agriculture says it'll use $4.65 billion from SNAP's approximately $5 billion contingency fund to cover half of the estimated $8 billion in monthly benefits for nearly 42 million Americans. Roughly 450 million of the contingency fund will cover states' administrative costs, and that's a lot. 450 million to cover admin costs, and 150 million in food aid programs in Puerto Rico and American Samoa. The partial funding excludes new applicants, disaster assistance, and any financial buffer, as the contingency funds are going to be depleted. Separately, the Senate reconvened yesterday with no funding vote scheduled. President Trump has urged Senate Republicans to eliminate the filibuster, which requires 60 votes to pass legislation. A House-passed bill previously failed to advance in the Senate 13 times. So I guess live to eat another day. Thanksgiving might be kind of slim for many Americans. Like, this is going to be a rough Thanksgiving, Ted.
Yep.
I don't think it's people don't realize, like, the government, so the feds fund the state's SNAP. The SNAP program is distributed among users based on their home state.
By state.
By state. So the state didn't have like reserve funds already or whatever. Like in this state in Virginia, Governor Youngkin had already said that he was gonna tap into the state's contingency funds to fund the SNAP program and take an IOU for whatever happens with the Trump administration. And mind you, it's our election day, and I've got to go do that soon. After parent-teacher conference, Ted. But this is the quarterly. Yeah, you remember those?
Oh, I was terrified whenever my mom would go, like, as to what the teachers
for your teacher. Oh, for your teachers?
Yeah, like
well, she's the teacher.
Yeah, but she taught in a different school district, so I was really in school.
Yeah, but she knows how this stuff works. She was a teacher.
So what's your point?
Like, I mean, some like she knows what you're like at home, and there's a buffer.
I wasn't the same at home.
Oh, really?
I was far more obedient and
At home.
At home. Well, my mom beat the shit out of me my entire childhood. So, like, I lived in total fear. You think, I mean, so when I got to school, I would fuck around and I was.
And you never had to find out.
Well, I sometimes have found out, but like usually not.
Oh. Okay. Huh. I was the opposite. That's why I'm like, I was like a good kid at school, and everybody thought like her nice little nerd Asian girl. But as soon as we were in between class, outside of class, or whatever, I'm like, hey, check out this bottle I managed to. I was that kid. Like, but I brought home all A's. Like
that's what matters. Well, I brought home all A's too. Matters. That caused part of the puzzlement because I was like very poorly behaved, I never got caught, straight A student.
I was never caught for my misdeeds at school. So my parent-teacher conferences were always talking fantastic.
In class and passing notes, and I loved practical jokes. I loved pranks.
Oh, because you're a boy. Yeah, you're a boy. Yeah, so I got to go do that this afternoon, and then I got to go vote. And Ted, you know who's on the lieutenant governor ticket is what's his name? John, the guy we interviewed on the show. Remember he announced his candidacy, John. So I just want to point out again that on the Republican ticket, up and down the Republican ticket in the state of Virginia, is the most diverse selection of people, right? There's a immigrant Black conservative woman running for the chief executive job in Virginia, right? She's from Jamaica originally. She's a Black immigrant and a woman. Lieutenant governor running, his name escapes. John, I'll remember it when I get to the polls. I'll look it up before I get to the polls. But he's a gay conservative married to a Black man. Mm-hmm. Again, very diverse. And then Jason Miyares is the incumbent in Virginia for attorney general. And I forget what kind of Latino, but he's Latino. And on the Democrat side, there's just all cis straight white people. Just all white.
Well, let's talk about SNAP, though. So
anyway, right now,
the polls make very clear that the Republicans are taking the blame, which is really frustrating them. For obvious reasons. I mean, because they're like, well, we didn't shut down the government. But the analysis of the voters is clearly you Republicans control every branch of government. So anything that happens that's bad is your fault. And I'm not sure that that's entirely wrong. It's not entirely precisely accurate, but it's not entirely wrong. Republicans have got to blink, right? They've got
no,
to.
It's branding. No, I think people are starting to realize that it's just that the Democrats look, the media is still largely mainstream wise anyway. And that's still, a large segment of the population, the people that are probably paying attention to SNAP benefits, are still consuming mainstream media, and mainstream media is still very much left wing or liberal leaning, I should say, not left wing like you. I mean, liberals, liberal leaning, and anything Republican, anything Trump is going to be deemed bad and evil. And so they have kind of helped frame this as, oh, like the Republicans are going to have you starve, without really going into details about how this all came about and why it's remaining. And the whole thing with, I got you, Ted. Last comment on this is that they still control that portion of the media, but now the word is getting out by way of TikTok and alternative media and social media platforms about why the Democrats keep saying no to everything. Yeah. It's now people are starting to learn from their children or grandchildren, because the younger, from what I'm seeing, they're showing mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, like, hey, look, like this is somebody explaining what's happening with SNAP, and this is what's really actually happening. And there's complete sound bites from like John Thune, and then you hear ass clowns like Hakeem Jeffries saying platitudes of nothing.
Well, I mean, nobody's saying. I mean, the truth is, it's a standoff, right? I mean, I don't know. I think Republicans are losing. They don't quite realize it yet.
Well, no, they're losing. They were losing the first round battle of narrative control, but I think they're coming back in this last round, and I think there's going to be a new reckoning with the Democratic Party, and they have to understand, like, this is not the right way to go, and that they are actually, the SNAP thing is their thing. I personally, the way I see it,
but I don't think the polls view it that way.
I know. For me, though, I know it's like a them thing.
And I also I think the Democrats, honestly,
made, and they won't.
The Democrats are involved in an existential struggle. They can't pick over the Affordable Care Act. If those subsidies are allowed to lapse, I mean, let's be clear here. First of all, let's just say that the Democrats reopen the government with a clean continuing resolution, a CR, as the Republicans ask, and the Republicans say, okay, then we'll negotiate we will negotiate about the Obamacare subsidies. 1,000,000% the Republicans will not restore the Obamacare subsidies, right? They just won't. Okay, so what will happen is tens of millions of people will fall out of the ACA, and this very fragile system will collapse entirely next year. And then the Democrats don't have a single major legislative accomplishment to point to for the last 30 years. That's why they can't allow that to happen. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like literally Democrats have no choice.
I get it. No, I get it. Like that's why they, even though smaller concessions on other things can be made, they're not willing to make any, because they literally have no room to there's no fat to trim.
Well, there's no negotiating to be had. They can't.
Yeah, there's no fat left on this thing to trim. Like and they didn't plan for that. It is poor planning. That's how it is. That's where we're at. So anyway, we'll leave that there. Today was all serious news. Yesterday was all like health and weird news. So that's it. Wish me luck at parent teacher conference. I know what kind of kid I have, Ted. I know. So anyway.
Vaya con Dios.
Adios, amigos. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Should I get one more ad in there? We have several.
You know what? You read it. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll see you later.
Okay, I'll do that. Adios, Ted. Bye. I'm going to go ahead and pick an ad to read. That's may as well, right? How about this? Power Life. Let's go for it. A word from a new sponsor. All right, Brooke Burke, a fixture in the entertainment and wellness industries for decades, known for her roles in Dancing with the Stars and Wild On, I remember that was on E, is not one to shy away from the spotlight, but shortly after she turned 50, she's 50, she looks amazing. Despite her expertise, the fitness icon suddenly found herself battling a body that seemed to be working against her. Now, Brooke is opening up publicly about her experience because it's one millions of women face: unexplained weight gain, muscle loss, and declining energy. And she's revealing how she discovered one thing that made her leaner, stronger, and healthier than ever. She says today, at 53, she feels amazing and her abs are tighter today than they were 10 years ago. What changed for her was she began biohacking and discovered that she needed more protein, but not just any protein, one specific protein, which was a total game changer. And when she found it, she says it was like uncovering a secret weapon for her weight management and muscle gain. Everything changed. I'm leaner and stronger than I've been my whole life. She's sharing this with the world, to both men and women. And you can learn about all of this revolutionary protein. Click the link in the chat or scan that QR code on the screen to watch and learn more. All right. So health stuff, love it. Yeah, especially for us ladies out there. Anyway, so that will do it for us. Adios, amigos. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Bye, friends.